The Full Spectrum Podcast, presented by Champions and Legends. Champions and Legends produces hemp-derived CBD sports supplements for athletic preparation, performance, and recovery. This is the Full Spectrum Podcast with Big Data and Maverick, available wherever you get your podcasts.
Big Data, welcome back to the layer. Thanks for coming. I did put pants on this week.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Not a problem, not going to lie. Not totally comfortable, but I'll do it for you. Listen, you know how I am. I listen to you go through the Champions and Legends spiel, and I got to think of somebody. And this week, I came up maybe with the best one of all time. I've talked about Michael Vick. I've talked about James Harrison. But it's this week, it's Jay Glazer.
Oh, wow.
This guy's an ambassador for Champions and Legends, and this guy's had some crazy shoulder problems in the past. He's gone on record and said this stuff works the best. Jay Glazer, NFL Fox, right? He's an MMA guy. He has his own gym down in LA, and he's the guy that broke the Tom Brady news to the world that he was going down to Tampa Bay. Jay Glazer, he is champion and legend.
I second that motion, Glazer. Maybe we'll chat with him one day. What do you think?
I like, you know what? I think he would be a great interview. He'd be fantastic.
Hope the CEO is listening.
Listen, the CEO made some good suggestions this week, and we're going to change it up a little change in format. Let's start with a little entertainment news, a little world news, just to get the ball rolling, get the spit going, if you will. And I want to start with the thing. Look, your name is Big Data. So meaning you're a tech guy. You like your analytics. You like your technology. You like all that. And 7 months ago, the world went through a crazy change where we all had to start doing things from afar. Meaning you got to load up the computer and get that Zoom going. And my biggest nightmare came true. Thank God not to me, because God knows it could have happened to me. But I found out the other day that Jeffrey Toobin is the world's, I don't know, what's the word to use about Jeffrey Toobin right now?
He's like the first test case
Yes.
of Zoom going horribly, horribly wrong.
If you don't know who this guy is, you will soon enough, and we'll just give you a little taste of what's going on. This gentleman works for the New Yorker, big establishment, big newspaper. Him and his team are getting ready for the elections coming up in 2 weeks. They're doing some role plays, but they said, "Hey guys, you know what? Let's take a quick little break." And you know what, Jeffrey, when he takes his breaks, he takes his breaks. Let me tell you,
He's not getting cheated.
He forgot to turn off his camera while he, let's just say, was having some fun with himself. And the next thing you know, this guy is on every news outlet, every social media feed. He cannot turn away. A little piece of my heart goes out to him. A little piece of my heart says, thank God it's him and not me. And I'm just, at the end of the day, I don't know what to say anymore. I have no words for this guy.
You know, really, the joke writes itself.
It really does.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
I heard
for
Zoom
this comedy.
stock is going through the roof right now. That's what I heard. I don't know. Tell me if I'm crazy, but I love it. But with that being said, I'll get off his topic. You showed up at the house. I had my pants on. And what was I doing? I was watching Taken. What movie, what show, when it's on, you have to watch the end. I would not come down here until I saw Liam Neeson kick some Albanian ass in Taken 2. I just couldn't get away from it.
You know, anytime any of the Takens are on, I know they get progressively worse as you keep watching them, but it's must-see TV.
He is so good.
Good.
He's like 50-ish, 60-ish, and he's still wrecking guys. Like, he's a machine.
Can't be stopped.
Okay, quick question. Liam Neeson versus Denzel Washington. Who wins?
You know, normally I'd say Liam for sure.
Yeah.
But Training Day, Denzel, I don't know.
Or what about Equalizer Denzel?
Oh, or even Equalizer 2, Denzel.
What if you do a sequel of a sequel and put them together against some sort of like mafia outfit?
There's no movie theater that would be able to house that kind of action.
Is there a movie that when it's on you have to watch it though, real quick?
Well, you know, for me, especially at Christmas time, it's Die Hard.
Die Hard.
Gotta watch Die Hard. Nakatomi Towers, which I may have stayed there once.
Really?
At the Nakatomi Towers. Very freaky experience.
Oh.
Great movie.
Yeah.
Every Christmas, gotta watch it.
There's two of them for me. Scarface. Every single time it's on, I don't care. I know it's like 5 hours long, but I gotta watch it all. And Goodfellas. That's the other one. And Casino. Any three of those are on, or even Taken, 4 of those are on, I have to drop everything I do and I gotta watch them.
And hey,
Yeah.
these days we got a lot of time to watch those things.
Isn't that the truth? Speaking of that, speaking of entertainment, let's talk about what's happening in a couple of weeks. It is the presidential election. It's Trump versus Biden. But this week, Trump is dropping the gloves. He's ready to rock and roll. He took down his disease control guy, Fauci. He laid him out on Twitter today.
You know, it wasn't the only layout this week. It was eerily similar to something that happened with the New York Jets. So Trump was complaining about Fauci the same way that Greg Williams of the New York Jets was complaining about the offense and the head coach, Adam Gase. Major parallels.
You know what? That's a great point. And you know what? Both, I don't know if I'm on Trump's side, but Greg's got a point. Greg's got a point about the Jets, man. That team does not look good at all.
Well, I mean, Greg's got some skeletons in the closet, so
Agreed.
He is a good facsimile for Trump as well.
That's a good point. But man, Adam Gase. I mean, I thought Dan Patricia was next to be on the chopping block, but I think Gase might give him a little run for his money.
So word on the street is that the Jets want Trevor Lawrence so bad that they're keeping Gase as head coach so that they won't win any games.
Oh, really? That's actually not a bad strategy. I got a little something for that a little later. Don't you worry.
I like it.
From there, let's talk about it. It just started. Tonight is the first game of the World Series. Yeah, we're going to talk a little baseball. We're going to start it off that way. It's the LA Dodgers versus the Tampa Bay Rays. Both teams had a little bit of a weird way getting there. LA was down 3-1 to Atlanta. And Atlanta, doing the Atlanta thing, they just basically gave it up in the end. And the Dodgers come through and they win. Tampa Bay was up 3-1 on the Houston Astros. Houston basically cheated to make it an even series. But then at the end, Tampa said, hey, one thing you guys can't beat is COVID. We had it. We got it. It's LA versus Tampa Bay in the World Series. But here's the big talk, and this is where I wanted to get into it. You got the team, the LA Dodgers, payroll, $191 million. The Goliath versus the David of the Tampa Bay Rays, $67 million. It's literally Moneyball. This is all our dreams come true. We finally get to see it. Is it the superstar or is it the analytics? Big data, I got to ask you, what do you think?
You know how much I love the analytics.
Of course.
I mean, the Dodgers, even though they spend a ton of money, you know, they're heavy on the analytics too. Let's go through a couple players that will showcase what these two teams are about. The Rays, from nowhere, Randy Arozarena.
Yes.
Randy's OPS in the playoffs so far. Now, OPS is basically if you're getting on base and if you're hitting for power. That's what will give you a great OPS.
Yeah.
It's one of the top stats the analytics folks in baseball look at. And in 2020, the shortened season, the average OPS was 740.
Okay.
So it'll be an average player will get 740. The first three series, Arozarena against the Jays, 1.556, so double an average player. Against the Yankees, so we're stepping up to some better pitching here, 1.371. And then against the Astros, still very hot, 1.152. Basically, if you're hitting 1,000 OPS, you are on a hot streak. And he's had a hot streak the entire playoffs. And then his corollary.
Yes.
On the Dodgers.
Everyone knows about the corollary.
Mookie Betts.
Yes.
Huge money.
Yeah.
Mookie, basically, his defense is what kept the Dodgers from losing to the Braves. He had 3 spectacular plays, one in Game 5, one in Game 6, one in Game 7. He started off with a 1.357 OPS. Mm-hmm. Then he went down a little bit to a 900, and then he actually went kind of below average against the Braves with a 695. But the defense changed that series.
Absolutely did.
And Mookie basically, was the catalyst for his team to beat the Braves.
Well, here's the difference. As you name these two guys and what they've done spectacularly, here's the other side of it. Randy is costing Tampa Bay $563,000. Mookie is costing the Dodgers $32 million. So that is what this whole series to me is all about. And the reality is, I want to see if Tampa Bay pulls this off. I truly believe this will revolutionize baseball. Like, I got to admit, listen, I love my baseball, but I like my playoff baseball. I can't sit around for 162 games. So COVID, I like the fact that it got brought down to 60-something games. If they push it even to 80, I'm okay with it, all right? The playoff format, we talked about basketball and hockey and all that stuff. I don't mind that being changed up a little bit either. But what I really do believe is if Tampa Bay somehow pulls off this win, I think every team starts scrapping these major players and these salaries and saying, hey, man, the math is doing the talking here. Why not? It'll become one of those, like a video game, really, at the end of the day. I'm super interested to see, because when I look at 563,000 versus 32 million, I mean, this is unbelievable that we're even in the same realm.
Yes,
we're in the same area. It's huge.
Now, Moneyball obviously changed baseball, but the Moneyball team has never really won the World Series.
No.
They've done great in the playoffs. They've done great in the regular seasons, but the true Moneyball team has never really won. So if Tampa can pull it off, as we're recording this, game one's just happened. Looks like the Dodgers are going to take it.
Right.
But it's a long series, and Tampa Bay's pitching is spectacular.
It's amazing.
Their relievers just come in, and everyone throws 96 to 100, and you don't know what happened once they get their hands on you.
Where it's even more sad for the owners, had there been actual fans in the stands, imagine the payroll and the money they'd be making off these games if there was actual fans, concession, and all that stuff versus, the Dodgers, don't get me wrong, every year still make the most amount of money in Major League Baseball. No one can touch these guys. These guys each year somehow are the number one producer, revenue maker. But Tampa Bay, there's got to be something said. Like, in one way, every owner wants Tampa Bay, but every player in Major League Baseball and even the players on Tampa Bay are cheering, kind of going for LA, because the last thing you want to do is devalue yourself. Yeah. And that's what Tampa Bay players right now might be doing to themselves if they end up winning this.
Tampa Bay, they do it out of necessity. They make no money. They really they're just the poorest of the poor franchises. Their situation is awful. It's hard analytic-wise to get a huge leg up on everybody. It's way easier just to make more money than other people and then just spend it. So I think you'll always have that two-tiered system in baseball, and it's by necessity. So what's the Yankees and the Dodgers' real need to go super analytics-based? They can go to a certain extent, but then in the end, they can take the easy way out and say, hey, Garrett Cole, here's $40 million a year, come pitch for us, right? So I don't think that's going to end up changing.
No, I agree. But, looking at the 28-player roster for both teams today, on the LA Dodgers side, of course, I recognized a lot of names because there's a lot of, like, even Corey Seager right now, tearing it up, 6 home runs, 15 RBIs. He's only getting $7.6 million. But compared to $31 million and $32 million, Kershaw right now, who's supposed to be the best pitcher and one of the best of all time, he's pitching 4.22 ERA. Like, he isn't blowing it up. And that's where I say to myself, man, you look at the Tampa Bay pitching staff, you look at the Tampa Bay players, I swear to goodness, Big Data, I didn't recognize a single name except for one or two guys.
I didn't recognize very many guys either. Kiermaier's been in center field for a while, and, Arizarina's, like, really popular right now. Snell and Glasnow are kind of there. But, some of the times these mega relievers come in for the Rays.
Right.
And I'm like, have I seen this guy before? And I don't know them.
Well, most of them, I think, literally were just picked up off the street. Like, I truly believe they're like, excuse me, sir, I saw you throw that beer can across the street. Do you think you could throw a baseball?
I like your velocity.
I like the velocity on that. And here we go. So super excited to see. Now, this is being played in a neutral site in Texas, Arlington. Tickets going for a mere $290 US. Apparently, that's really cheap.
Yes.
For a World Series ticket, which I thought was kind of expensive. I don't know, $300 a pop for a ticket. It's not bad. I mean, what are we talking about here?
Yeah, it's the World Series, man. What are you?
This U.S. economy is doing better than we thought. It is a V-tip, as Trump says. All right, from there, let's go to America's other favorite passion, and that's college football. Let me give you the top 5. The real college football starts this weekend. Some teams kind of got a head start. They were, they're the go-getters, let's say, right? And their league said, hey, but now the real teams, the big teams come out. Let me give you the top 5. You got Clemson at 5-0. You got Alabama at 4-0. You got Notre Dame at 4-0 at number 3. Georgia just lost to Alabama the other night, but they keep their 4th spot at 3-1. And Ohio State, I still don't understand how they're the ranked 5th team in this with a 0-0 record. I'm still trying to figure that one out. They're taking on Nebraska this weekend. One thing I'm going to say about Clemson, you said it earlier, Adam Gase, they're going to keep him on so they can tank to get him. But what if it was a reverse? What if Trevor says, no, you know what? I'm going to tank and not become the number 1 draft pick? Because in all honesty, man, does he really want to go to the Jets?
Well, in the end, I'm pretty sure people are going to want to go to New York, regardless of who's there. My idea for Trevor Lawrence is say, hey, Dabo, come with me. These Jets will pay you a mint. Why don't we go together?
Oh, there's no way Dabo's. He's got a great thing over there. All right. Of the 5 teams I just named, which intrigues you the most?
For me, it's Alabama. So to put it in perspective, Alabama used to just run and play defense. They used to have one of the best offensive lines. They always had the best defensive line. And they would just mash you, and then they would start throwing, and then you'd be just a mess. Big difference the last couple years, and it's really showing up this year. Their offense is on fire, and it's a pass-first offense now.
Yes.
They are scoring 70 and 80-yard touchdowns like nobody's business. They're launching the ball to their receivers. Let's talk about Alabama receivers in the NFL right now.
Okay.
We've got Julio Jones. And on the same team, Calvin Ridley.
Not bad.
Amari Cooper.
He's okay.
We got some new guys. We got Jerry Jeudy.
He's good.
Henry Ruggs.
Yeah, not bad at all.
It's a pretty good
Not bad at
lineup
all.
of wide receivers.
That's actually very good.
Only comp in all of football right now.
Yeah.
From the college level is LSU. You got your OBJ. You got your Jarvis Landry.
Yeah.
DJ Chark.
Sure.
And had a big week, Justin Jefferson.
Yes.
From the Vikings.
Yes.
So Alabama has become wide receiver central.
Yes.
There's 2 guys, Devonta Smith and Jalen Waddle right now. They're just terrorizing secondaries. They're going to go, I have a feeling they're going to go super high in the draft now. And it's just really stunning that Alabama, Nick Saban, he's been there so long, and now he's changed his stripes. Yeah. And now they're like old Al Davis Raiders football, and they're just launching bombs like crazy, and these guys are catching them.
Do you know what I call that? Diversification. Changing it up. Well, you know what? That's what makes him such a great coach, is like he's not sticking to what has always made him successful, as you said, running the ball and defense. He's like, this is a pass-happy league now, and if I don't start adapting to that. And you know what's funny? You talk about Julio, talk about Ridley. Like, I know all these names, but I got to be honest, I don't remember them tearing it up. I know they did. I don't remember them tearing it up until they got the NFL. So they were NFL ready, even though they weren't maybe blowing up the league at that time. Like Odell, I remember at LSU. I remember Landry at LSU, which was also a run-heavy team. Very interesting. It's kind of cool. I guess these guys are going under the radar, but they're just so well coached that they're just ripping it up in the NFL right now.
Yeah, and one last thing, the SEC... normally it's the NFL's defense comes from the SEC.
Yeah, let's call it is.
They're just a super awesome defensive league. Not anymore. This year, it is not a defensive league.
No.
It's a shootout every game, all over the place, and it makes for some exciting football.
Well, speaking of shootout, let's jump over to the, everyone in college wants to make it somewhere, and they want to make it to the NFL. Last night, Monday Night Football. Listen, I actually said, we said it last week on this podcast. We said, hey, what a great insurance policy. You got a little Andy Dalton. Everything should be okay. Offensively, you guys should be fine. It's your defensive. They both stunk it up yesterday. I know Dak's gone, you guys, but Dallas has literally given up. Like, after watching that performance, I know Zeke's got the pressure on him. Fumble happy yesterday. I don't know if that's the problem here, but Dallas fan, I don't know. You guys got to call a team meeting. I don't know, player-only meeting. I don't know what the hell's going on over there, but that does not look good over in Dallas right now.
The wide receiver weapons are still there. I know Gallup dropped a whole bunch of passes and a touchdown. Serious concern, though, the reason why I think everything is falling apart, Zach Martin on the offensive line got hurt during the game. They're already with Tyron Smith out. Last year, Fedrick, the center, retired. Their offensive line went from a strength to a major liability. I even think Lyle Collins, he was hurt too. There's people on that offensive line I've never heard of before. The Red Rocket needs protection. You need some time to get those receivers open down the field. And Zeke, this is what a lot of running backs deal with. Welcome to the NFL.
Yeah.
You don't always have the best offensive line in the league to run behind.
But see, that's to my what you just said and how you just finished off that thought is exactly what I'm thinking about. Dallas, this is new to you. Your offensive line isn't the best in the league all of a sudden. But Dalton's been used to that, I thought, over the last couple of years. I don't know. I know it's a major thing. I'm a big offensive line guy, big defensive line guy. I look at that stuff. I know it's utterly important. But like you said, Gallup dropping those passes can't be happening. I'm very disappointed in him. And it wasn't just a defensive thing. We all know their defense sucks, but they got to step up as well. From there, let's talk about the team that everybody is now basically saying they're going to win it once again. It's the Kansas City Chiefs. Le'Veon Bell got himself out of the Jets. Not sure how he did it. This guy has figured it out. I don't know. Like, in all honesty, he should be an agent because he's figuring it out perfectly. He gets out of Pittsburgh, didn't like the situation there, goes to the Jets, gets paid handsomely, and now gets released from there saying, I don't want to play here anymore, and ends up with the Kansas City Chiefs. What are your thoughts on Le'Veon Bell, Kansas City Chiefs?
So everyone was concerned with how Le'Veon's going to impact the backfield there. Obviously, there's a lot of fantasy fans focused on Edwards-Helaire. He knew Le'Veon was coming. He had a huge game Monday night, I guess early Monday evening, against the Bills. 161 yards rushing, looked fantastic. But you know what? There is a comp for last year. Andy Reid brought in Shady McCoy last year, and everyone thought, Shady's kind of done. Mm-hmm. He's not going to really do much. You know what? Shady got some snaps. He got some passes. Doesn't seem to bother Andy Reid if he has lots of running backs going. Edwards-Helaire's production's going to go down. Le'Veon's going to get snaps. And you know what? Behind that offensive line, which looked fantastic against the Bills.
Unbelievable.
They ran like crazy, 245 yards as a team. I think Le'Veon's going to find some holes, and I think Patrick is going to enjoy passing him the ball, and Edwards-Helaire might be on the bench a little more than we think.
Well, and that's what bothers me about this call. And this is, in all honesty, look, Kansas City, defending Super Bowl champion. Yeah, they lost to the Raiders, whoop-de-doo, but the Raiders were built to beat one team and one team only, which is the Chiefs. And if they end up beating them again, this is, again, I go back to it. The Raiders were built to beat one team. So, whatever. Let's say they lose 2 games to the Raiders. They go out and get Bell. I do think this is a problem. And follow me on this. Helaire was pegged to be a high draft pick. He went later than he should have. In fact, I hear Jay Glazer loved this guy so much that he was the sneak pick, and your defending champions get him. Now you're going to put him on the bench to bring in a guy that was good 3-4 years ago. I think this is a mistake by the Chiefs. I think I know the name is big, but the name was big also 3 years ago. I think this is a problem. This kid yesterday, I think, ran for a purpose to tell Andy, hey, I didn't like what the team did. I deserve my spot. I've earned my spot. And this kid, because right now, is he going to go from 161 yards rushing this week to maybe 50 or 60 next week? Like, this kid's catching fire now. This kid's obviously got a little chip on his shoulder. If I'm him, I'd be a little upset about it. And I think, of course, you like that Bell in the backfield. But if Bell and him can get along, you're fine. But let's call it what it is. Bell wants his touches. That's the main reason. And I think that is my number one purpose. Don't touch what's not broken. It's fine, you guys.
Did you just do a scoop of Jay Glazer, from Jay Glazer?
I think I may have.
That's amazing.
I think I may have.
Jay, you've just been scooped by your own information.
But I just don't like the fact that when teams are great and they're good and they've got all the talent, they go and get another big name, but that name carries a little bit of, let's call, pride and carries a little bit that, like, Bell wants to prove to everyone he's still good, which means he wants to get on the field, and you can't be sharing the field with this kid where he's doing so well. You're cutting the legs out of this kid, man. I just don't like it. I don't like it.
Le'Veon wants to get paid again too.
Of course he does, man. Respect, I get it, but why him? In all honesty, I was convinced by, without a shadow of a doubt, that he was going to New England. I thought that was a great pick. He would have been great with him and Cam together. I would have loved it. That was the Bill Belichick special. He should have been in New England.
You know what? Usually Bill scoops people from the division, so
Right.
so we might have to put the brakes on Le'Veon a bit if Bill didn't want to scoop him.
Maybe, and that's another thing. Exactly. It may be the attitude. From there, let's jump over to Tua for touchdowns. You talked about Alabama. Last year's big man, Tua, goes, second overall, third overall?
I believe it was third.
Third overall in the NFL draft. Goes to the Miami Dolphins. He's sitting behind Ryan Fitzmagic and you know what? Not bad. Fitzpatrick, I got his stats. 15-35 as of right now. 12 touchdowns. Second in the AFC. And they're going to bench, not in a bad way. It sounds like he's cool with it. They're bringing Tua in. He's going to make his NFL debut next week. But I don't understand why. Again, why are you rocking the boat when it doesn't need to be rocked?
Miami Dolphins 3-3. They're in a playoff spot. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me either. My thought on it, though, is that Ryan Fitzpatrick doesn't usually last the season. He gets hurt quite often. He's not a 16-game player. Why not? I get why they're doing it because Miami has a bye coming up. They got 2 weeks to prepare Tua. They think that's the way to go. But I would have just ridden Fitzmagic until he got hurt.
Exactly.
Then it's a natural way for Tua to come in, and then you don't have to. That's the excuse to get him in, and then you don't have to take him out again. So I think it's a poor decision by the Dolphins.
And why play with perfection? He was 2 for 2. You're going to wreck his stats now. I would have rode that right to the end, and then go to the coach. I was 100% passing last year at 2-2.
A+.
Well, I just don't get what's going on here. Why is everyone trying to change it up? You don't. The Dolphins finally catch a little fire, and now you're going to change the quarterback? It makes no sense at all.
They also want to let 90,000 people in their stadium, so maybe their thought process is not great.
Yeah, you know what? I obviously COVID does affect the brain to some degree. Absolutely. From there, let's jump on to a quick hit, man. Derrick Henry, 247 pounds. 6'4". Last week, he ran for 264 yards, okay? And at one run, he was pegged at 21.6 miles an hour. That's how fast he was running. Like, what? This guy is a horse.
It's phenomenal.
He's a horse with a helmet, Big Data. They need to put a stop to this.
If Ryan Tannehill wasn't playing so good, I would say, and this goes back to the last couple of years, I don't know why he just doesn't get the ball even more than he does. He just beats on the defense. He beats them into submission.
Right.
Sometimes they forget about him. I remember even last year they were bringing in a third down back for passing situations.
Yeah, why?
Like, he's one of the best players in the NFL. You don't have him on the field enough as it is.
All he has to
Give him the ball.
All he has to do is turn around, sidekick somebody in the head, and run down the field. And eat some hay, and then somebody might catch up to you. And the guy is unbelievable. But real quick about Tennessee, they can pass pretty well. They've got some good receivers. Tannehill's a little bit on fire right now, and obviously they can run the ball like nobody else. Tennessee's offense, I think, is very underrated, man.
They looks like them and the Chiefs might be heading for a rematch.
I think so.
AFC Championship game.
Absolutely. And I kind of like the Titans defense a little bit more than that Kansas City defense. I'll tell you that.
I got to disagree. Titans have been lit up on defense.
Come on. They're just still early. It's week 6.
36 against Houston. 31 against the Vikings. It's not good.
You know what? Good. I got a question for you. Thursday night, here's a quick little peg for you, okay? Thursday night, so it's an epic game. You got the Giants versus Philly, okay? Presidential debate, or do we maybe get this Jeffrey Toobin to get on Zoom call? If you had a choice of any 3 of these to watch, what would you do?
As appealing as...
I'm going for the Toobin, right?
Toobin.
I'm going for the
As
Toobin.
appealing as that is, I'm thinking the debate is probably better
right.
than... Let me give you some information about the Giants and Eagles. So there's a stat DVOA, basically that ranks each play against an average outcome.
I'm very familiar with the DVOA.
There you go. And then it ranks the teams on offense and defense.
Yeah.
So on defense, the Giants and the Eagles, they're actually not that bad.
Yeah.
Giants are 17th. The Eagles are 19th.
Right.
Respectable.
Yeah.
Usually if you're going to be a good team, though, you're better in one area than the other. Oh, defense. Giants are 30th. Eagles are 31st.
Oh, epic battle here.
We have 2 middling offenses. They're, average offenses. 2 bad defenses. It's going to be ugly.
Well, did you see Miles Sanders is out for tomorrow as well, or on Thursday as well? So if you've ever wanted to see what an NFL practice roster actually looks like, tune in on Thursday in between the debates, and you'll find out what that is. Now, with that being said, let's talk about little players. This is Big Data's triumph. It's pump and dump, and I'm not talking about Jeffrey Toobin.
This is just a fantasy football pump and dump. So let's start with the top QBs as usual. Russell Wilson had a bye, so he slipped a little bit. So we've got Mahomes.
Fair enough.
Then a surprise entrant to the top 4, Kyler Murray.
He was eventually going to make it.
He threw 9 passes against the Cowboys. He had 32 fantasy points. It defies logic. It's unbelievable.
Wait a minute. He threw 9 passes?
9 passes.
That's all he threw yesterday?
Sorry, he had 9 completions.
Oh, I was going to say
9 completions. But still, one was 80 yards to Kirk. He was just running, scoring. It was embarrassing.
So, but what you are telling me is the Dallas defense does have a chance if there's only 9 completions.
Yes. Okay. Yes, they do.
All right. Sorry.
Then we got, tough day, but still third overall is Josh Allen.
Mm-hmm.
Bottom QB, and this is going to be a little bit surprising for people. This week, we're highlighting your favorite, Nick Foles.
Big dick.
Mr. Nick.
Yeah.
He's scoring 16 points a game in fantasy.
Okay.
Which pretty awful for a QB.
All right.
And these comebacks are just skewing. He literally should have way less points because I think he has the most dropped interceptions of the season. He's throwing into double and triple coverage like crazy, and somehow he's getting lucky and it's not always getting picked off.
It's because he throws so hard that it's just bouncing off the chest plate.
We'll go on to running backs now. So running backs, Derrick Henry slipped into the second place.
Well, hey, I don't know how, but go on. Okay.
Even with the bye, Kamara is still number 1.
Yeah, Kamara is on fire.
Dalvin Cook's hurt, so he slipped to 3rd.
Oh, wow, big surprise.
Big surprise. And then Aaron Jones again in 4th.
Oh, what a great game he had. Don't even get me started. Go. Just go.
And bottom running back, we're going to highlight a replacement player here. We're going to highlight Dion Lewis. He's been getting some snaps for the Giants.
Yeah.
People thought, Freeman came in, but maybe Lewis would get some action. He's not getting any action.
No,
he had one okay game, and the rest of his games were stinkers.
Yeah.
If you've got him, please dump him. Wide receivers, kind of the same crew as we've normally had, but number 1 now is actually Adam Thielen. Ridley slipped to 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
Metcalf, even with the bye, is 3rd. And a new entrant we talked about earlier, Justin Jefferson.
He's on fire.
32 big fantasy points in a just the garbagiest of garbage time when Minnesota was trailing Atlanta.
Does that mean we have to give Kirk Cousins a little respect?
No, because he threw 3 picks in the first half.
But he's got 2 of the wide receivers in the top 5.
That's because he's always down by
Fair enough.
3 touchdowns.
Maybe that's where you get it going,
And our bottom running back, and he's such a high draft pick that you can't even dump him really. It just would hurt your pride too much. Juju Smith-Schuster. WTF. What is going on there?
2 words. Clay Pool.
He's a 2nd, 3rd, or 4th round pick, depending on where your fantasy was. Mostly it was a 3rd round pick. And wow, his production has been atrocious. So I don't know if you can dump him. If you're below 500 in your fantasy league and you're starting or flexing Juju, you might want to dump him.
Yeah, it's maybe time.
It's time.
You might have to.
Tight ends, we got Kelsey is still tops. Jonnu Smith is back.
Yeah.
Andrews is 3rd, and Kittle has come up to 4th place now.
He's a baller.
Yeah, he's a baller. And, one you want to highlight, someone had some hype from last year, LA Rams, Gerald Everett.
Oh, yeah.
3 points a game. Now, I know he had a touchdown last week, but pretty, for what a good player he was last year, super disappointing this year. Defense is no change. Ravens are still the top. Cowboys are still the bottom. -2 points through 6 games. Embarrassing. And, of course, the kickers, who cares?
Yeah, I just don't know why we...
Why do we do it?
Why we do it? Listen, let's finish it off with a little something we call the Great Debate. You brought up something the other day. You talked about... We're going to go into basketball real quick. Big Data, tell them what the Great Debate's all about.
So I just want to highlight, now that the 2020 NBA season's over, the Lakers were crowned the champions. But there was a decision made last summer.
Yeah.
It was a decision that had never happened before. We had the playoff MVP of the world champions, Kawhi Leonard, choosing to leave his team and go to LA with the Clippers, with Paul George, and basically say, hey, I think we can do it in LA, and I'm going to give up on a sure thing with the Raptors.
Right.
I got to say, so Uncle Dennis, that's his agent, uncle, guru, he was asking some crazy stuff. He wanted some crazy things from the Raptors. He wanted some crazy things from the Clippers. He ended up getting it from the Clippers. It's all coming out now that the other players are a little upset about how there's preferential treatment for Kawhi that the other players don't get. Might have sowed some bad seeds. I mean, we've gone over it before, they had a brutal playoff loss. They had double-digit leads in Game 5, 6, and 7 against the Nuggets in the second round. They blew the series. So I just want to say, hey, Kawhi, you made the worst decision in NBA history. You're the only playoff MVP ever to leave his team by his own volition, and it didn't work out.
Yeah.
And the debate is no longer. You lost. That was awful.
Horrible. You know what? You're absolutely right. Like, you know what? And the Raptors had a great thing. They still had a strong team, came second in the East, and had COVID not get involved, they probably maybe would have finished first. Maybe, possibly. But with Kawhi there, probably yes. Playoff run, they would have made their run again. I couldn't agree more, man. I never understood why he rolled out, especially if he's kind of the quiet guy they always make him out to be. Where else do you want to be? In Canada, man. The Great White North. You're up north. No one's bothering you. No one knows you're there. You go in, you get your load management. I didn't hear any Raptors players complaining that you got your load management and all that stuff last year. Best coach in the NBA. Great team around you. Everyone loved you. 2 million people show up to your parade. Kawhi, Big Data's got a point.
It was a stunning move. It totally didn't work out. And you know what? In your NBA career, you only have a small window. Like, there's a guy named LeBron James in the league that basically goes to the finals every year.
It seems like that, doesn't it?
It does. You only have so many chances in your window.
Yeah.
You only have so many dribbles and dunks in your body. Kawhi, you left one on the table.
Sad. Well, there it is, listeners. We absolutely love you guys. Thanks for downloading us again. It's the Full Spectrum Podcast. Done. Let's roll it up. I got to take these pants off. They are constricting me, and I got to put on my Zoom call.
Thanks for listening and downloading, everybody.
See you later, guys. Bye-bye.
Champions and Legends produces hemp-derived CBD sports supplements for athletic preparation, performance, and recovery.